Hello and welcome. You're watching World Business Report here on News 9 Live. I am Krishna Kumar. In a significant move, Meta, the parent company of social media giants Facebook, Instagram and WhatsApp, has now announced plans to bar political advertisers from using its AI or artificial intelligence powered advertising tools. And this decision, which comes amidst growing concerns over the role of social media in political discourse, signals a major shift in the company's advertising policies. What are the implications and what does this mean for the tech giant as it continues to navigate the complex intersection of technology, politics and public discourse? Take a look at this Reuters report.
Facebook parent Meta says it's banning political advertisers from using its new generative AI advertising tools. That's according to a company spokesperson Monday. With less than a year now until the US general election, Meta's move aims to cut off campaigns' access to tools that may turbocharge the spread of election misinformation on the world's second biggest platform for digital ads. Meta's generative AI ad products and virtual assistants, which can instantly create backgrounds, image adjustments, and ad copy in response to text prompts, were made available to a small group of advertisers in the spring. And a month ago, Meta expanded access to more advertisers. By barring access to it for political advertisers, Meta's made one of the industry's most significant AI-related policy choices related to political ads. As so far little has been said by big tech giants about safeguards on generative AI ad products released in recent months. Meta's top policy executive Nick Clegg said last month the use of generative AI in political advertising was, quote, clearly an area where we need to update our rules. He warned tech could be used to interfere in upcoming elections in 2024, especially content that moves from one platform to another. Meta's rival Alphabet's Google rolled out a similar image-customizing generative AI ad tool last week. It says it plans to keep politics out by blocking a list of political keywords from being used as prompts.
Away from one social media giant in the US to a tech giant and social media giant in China. Baidu, the dominant search engine platform of China, is now embarking on a significant shift in its own artificial intelligence hardware strategy. The Chinese tech giant has recently made headlines by placing orders for Huawei's artificial intelligence chips, marking a departure from its traditional reliance on America's Nvidia. And this strategic move by Baidu underscores the dynamic nature of the AI industry as we speak, where as the competition develops and the utility of advanced AI chips is also reaching new heights, especially with the United States of America now placing curbs on exporting chips to China. More in this report.
Chinese tech giant Baidu ordered artificial intelligence chips from Huawei this year in what could mark a significant industry shift away from supplier Nvidia. That's how two sources who spoke to Reuters exclusively characterized the move, as it showed how U.S. pressure could lead some firms to find an alternative to America's top chip maker in the high-stakes AI race. One source said Baidu, which has become one of China's leading AI firms, placed the order in August ahead of new rules put in place in October by the U.S. government that tightened restrictions on chip exports to China, including those made by Nvidia. The order was relatively tiny compared to what Chinese tech firms have historically ordered from Nvidia, with Huawei's chips still seen as far inferior to Nvidia's in terms of performance. But they were the most sophisticated domestic option available in China, a source said. Baidu, along with Chinese peers Tencent and Alibaba, has been known to be a longtime client of Nvidia. It was not previously known to be an AI chip customer of Huawei. Analysts predicted last month that the U.S. curbs would create an opening for Huawei to expand in its $7 billion home market. The company has been the subject of U.S. export controls since 2019. Baidu and Huawei did not respond to requests for comment. Nvidia declined to comment.
Away from artificial intelligence to the world's largest oil company, Saudi Aramco, which has now reported a net profit drop that was less severe than what was originally expected. This news comes as the global energy landscape continues to navigate challenges and fluctuations. What are the details of Saudi Aramco's financial performance, and what does this mean for the global energy industry and global markets? Take a look at this.
Saudi Aramco on Tuesday reported a 23% fall in third quarter net profit. Net profit fell to $32.6 billion due to lower oil prices and volumes sold. But the number beat analyst forecasts and helped keep the share price up. The Saudi oil producer said lower oil prices and volumes were partially offset by a reduction in production royalties. Energy majors, including Chevron and ExxonMobil, have recently reported sharp year-on-year falls in Q3 profits as energy prices cooled. Aramco's results came days after Saudi Arabia said it would continue with its voluntary oil output cut of 1 million barrels per day until the end of the year. The kingdom said it would review the decision again next month. Aramco said revenue was just over $113 billion in the quarter, down from just under $145 billion a year earlier. Looking ahead, the oil giant said energy demand was likely to rise over the mid to long term.
Away from global oil to global finance, where Swiss multinational investment bank UBS is in the red, especially after its recent acquisition or expensive acquisition of Credit Suisse, and that's playing a pivotal role in its finances. Now, this unexpected development raises questions about the impact of this takeover on UBS's own financial health and market position. So, what are the details behind UBS's financial downturn? Take a look at this.
UBS reported a loss of $785 million in the third quarter on Tuesday. It was due to expenses tied to the Swiss bank's takeover of former rival, the scandal-hit Credit Suisse. The loss was more than the $444 million analysts had projected. But there were positive signs for UBS, which pleased investors and sent the share price up over 4%. Inflows from customers were better than predicted. The group had gained new money in its wealth management arm of $22 billion, driven in part by winning new customers. Credit Suisse also saw money flow into the business for the first time since early last year. UBS made an underlying profit of $844 million, taking away the impact of the takeover. Since the merger was completed in June, UBS has tried to stabilise the group. The lender now oversees more than $5 trillion in assets. Analysts largely welcomed the results, but warned the bank still had challenges ahead, including client and key staff retention. The bank also said the outlook for economic growth, asset valuations and market volatility was still difficult to predict.
Away from that to Amazon, which is having a recurring showdown with workers at a warehouse in the United Kingdom who have once again taken to the picket lines. The strike is the latest in a series of labor disputes, which underscores literally the ongoing challenges faced by employees at the e-commerce giant's fulfillment centers. What are the reasons behind this latest strike and its potential impact on Amazon's operations and labor relations? More in this report.
What do we want? When do we want it?
More than 1,000 Amazon workers went on strike again at a central England warehouse on Tuesday over a long-running pay dispute. That's according to the GMB trade union. This latest action comes at the end of a year that's seen wider industrial unrest in the UK. Employees have demanded better wage rises to deal with high inflation. The Amazon workers, based in the city of Coventry, also planned to strike on Wednesday and Thursday. And they aim to take action November the 24th, which is Black Friday, a key date in Amazon's calendar. The workers first went on strike in January. In a statement, Amazon said it offers both competitive pay and comprehensive benefits. The US retail giant, which employs 75,000 in the UK, said that from last month, minimum starting pay would rise by at least £1 an hour. Depending on location, this could be an hourly rate of just over $15.30. The retail giant said pay is due to further increase next April, with both boosts collectively costing $209 million.
On to some exciting news from the world of gaming. Nintendo, the iconic gaming company, has boosted its profit forecast as its beloved Switch console continues to captivate players across the world. So what are the reasons behind Nintendo's financial upswing, and what does it mean for the gaming industry's future, and specifically speaking, the Switch console's future? Have a look at this.
Nintendo had good news for investors on Tuesday. The Japanese gaming giant raised its operating profit forecast for the financial year to March by 11%. Big-name games have proven so popular that Nintendo now projects it will make $3.32 billion in profit. Gamers have flocked to the aging Switch console this year. Nintendo sold 6.84 million units in the first half of the financial year, slightly up from last year. It's largely thanks to critically acclaimed games like The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. That heroic tale of Princess Zelda and the swordsman Link went on sale in May. Nintendo said it had sold 19.5 million copies as of the end of September, while another major title, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, launched last month. Nintendo's broad pop culture appeal was also helped by the success of a Super Mario movie. The game maker kept its full-year forecast for the Switch of 15 million units, though that would be a 16.5% decline on a year earlier.
In the world of aviation, Singapore Airlines, one of the world's leading carriers, has just announced record-breaking half-year profits. So what's driving Singapore Airlines' profits, and what does it mean for the airline industry? Take a look at this.
Singapore Airlines posted a record half-year profit on Tuesday. The airline saw strong demand as numerous countries fully reopened after the global health crisis, including Japan and China. The city-state's national carrier said net profit rose to $1.06 billion for the 6 months ended September 30th. That was well up from a year ago. It also recorded a $304 million drop in costs associated with fuel for the 6-month period. But the carrier warned about concerns around a spike in prices due to supply risks in the oil market. Singapore Airlines and its budget arm Scoot carried around 17.4 million passengers during the half year. That was up more than 50% year on year. The group added it expects to return to pre-health crisis passenger capacity levels within fiscal 2024 to 2025.
On to Wall Street, where it's been a remarkable display of resilience and momentum. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq achieving their longest winning streak in 2 years. It's a significant milestone coming on back of a series of positive economic indicators and robust corporate earning reports in America, and that has instilled that renewed confidence in the street. So what's driving this exceptional performance, and what's the road ahead looking like? More in this report.
U.S. stocks rose on Tuesday, with the S&P 500 notching its 7th straight day of gains, the Nasdaq its 8th, the longest winning streak for each index in 2 years. The Dow ticked up almost 0.2%, the S&P 500 added nearly 0.3%, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq climbed 0.9%. Helping boost stocks, the benchmark 10-year Treasury note yield, which declined for the 5th time in 6 sessions on expectations the Fed is done with its rate hiking cycle. Adam Coons, chief portfolio manager at Winthrop Capital Management, said the Fed could cut rates by mid-2024, citing signs of weakening consumer demand.
The consumer has really tapped themselves out. You've seen savings rates depleted. You've continued to see credit card usage increasing. And then compound that with the fact that you're seeing delinquency rates for consumer credit start to tick up, there are now more and more signs that the economy could roll over. And so that is pushing the thesis that the Fed could end up having to cut rates sooner than a lot of investors anticipated.
The pullback in yields Tuesday helped lift mega-cap growth names such as Microsoft, up more than 1%, Apple, which climbed 1.5%, and Amazon, which gained more than 2%. Other movers included Uber, which rose more than 3.5% as the ride-hailing firm projected fourth-quarter adjusted core profit above estimates. Shares of software solutions provider Datadog surged 28% after raising its forecast for annual adjusted profit and revenue. But energy stocks fell on Tuesday as crude prices dropped more than 4% on demand concerns, hitting their lowest level since late July.
Time now to take things to Hollywood, where things are not exactly glitzy. The Actors Union has now taken a bold stand as it continues its strike, and the Actors Union has openly expressed its reservations regarding a recent offer by the studios to settle the dispute. The dispute, which has been simmering behind closed doors, has now come to the forefront, and that's caught the attention of industry insiders and fans alike. More in this report.
Netflix on Monday told Reuters talks with striking Hollywood actors were ongoing after their union rejected the latest offering from the major studios. Netflix's co-chief executive, Ted Sarandos.
They're ongoing. We're at the table all day, every day, and we are trying to get this strike resolved and get the town back to work.
The Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, which represents Netflix, Walt Disney and other companies, presented what the studios called their last, best and final offer on Saturday. The SAG-AFTRA union on Monday said in a statement the two sides had yet to reach an agreement on several items, including the use of artificial intelligence. It added that it was determined to secure the right deal and bring a responsible end to a strike that has gone on for 4 months now. Hollywood actors walked off the job in July to demand higher compensation in the streaming TV era, as well as protections around the use of AI and other gains. Actors are seeking assurances that their digital likenesses will not be used without their permission.
Keeping it with the world of entertainment, filmmakers are now gearing up for, quote-unquote, the Marvels, and they're not holding back on some surprising twists that are in store for Marvel fans. What am I talking about? Take a look at this.
She's entangled our light-based powers, so we switch places whenever we use them.
Strong theory.
You can absorb light. I can see it. And Kamala...
Who's Kamala?
Hi.
The overarching sort of plan, the galaxy braining that Kevin Feige does, I don't even know. Like the way they've created this universe and built it up to what it is now and the way they're envisioning it for the future, I only know like a small part of that based like through my my working on this film. But it definitely felt like this, like a nexus point. I understand why they haven't shown the whole thing because there's just so much in there. And by the time you get to the end of the film, you have a really pretty clear idea about where the MCU is going, which is really exciting. So that's, I think, a big reason why we're going to do the first 25 minutes, keep it cute until, it goes to the release.
It borrows from the DNA from the comics, crossovers, team-ups, unexpected team-ups. Of course, what we know from the trailers is that time and space itself is in peril in this film, and so the universe will definitely be a bit different after this adventure.
Away from all of that to a story that we're getting you all the way from Belgium. It's a story about climate change, far-reaching impact on business from ground up. We're exploring Belgium's horseback fishers. Join us as we dive into this fascinating story and discover the challenges faced by these traditional fishermen in the face of a changing environment. Take a look at this.
On Belgium's far western coast, traditional horseback fishers are seeing firsthand how climate change is altering the ecosystem of the North Sea. Their report catching less shrimp, but more weaver fish and squid, traditionally found further south.
We have less shrimp catch than we used to, but we also have more weavers and animal species that you didn't see here before, which come from the Atlantic as the water warms up.
The coastal village of Oost-Dunkirk is the last place in the world where horseback shrimp fishing is still practiced. Fishermen like Gunther von Bleu ride horses through shallow waters. As the horse walks, the chain drags over the sand and creates vibration that causes the shrimp to jump into the net.
The best period to fish for shrimps used to be from September until December, when it starts to freeze. What we see now is that we get the best catches later in the season. I guess that there is a link with the climate change, because the water and the temperatures we live in have warmed up.
That rise in temperatures has disrupted traditional seasons for the small horseback fishing community. NASA says oceans have absorbed 90% of the global warming that humans have caused in the last few decades. In the North Sea, surface temperatures have increased by around 0.3 degrees Celsius every decade since 1991. And while shrimp populations fluctuate during short-term changes like heat waves, some species traditionally found further south have now moved north into Belgium's warming waters. Elias Emouri is a marine ecology researcher at Ghent University.
So for some species we see higher abundances. For example, the weavers and the squid, like cuttlefish, they have been found to increase with the warmer water temperatures. For shrimp, we also see this trend, but these coincide with heat waves that have been observed to take place in the North Sea.
Other species have fared worse. North Sea cod populations, for example, have plummeted since the 1980s, which scientists attribute to rising sea temperatures and overfishing.
For me, this is quite alarming, because at this rate, we see that a lot of species cannot cope and either migrate or go extinct. And if species go extinct, our food web will be impacted, which has consequences for us.
The famous Napoleon Bonaparte's hat, which was a trademark of the emperor, is heading to the auction blocks in France. The black beaver felt hat in traditional bicorn shape is expected to fetch over $850,000 at this auction. Remember, Napoleon adorned this hat with a cockade in the year 1815 while he was crossing the Mediterranean from his exile in Elba to the Antibes. This Reuters report tells you all about it.
Voilà. Le chapeau de l'empereur Napoléon Ier. Est-ce qu'il est lourd? Vous avez ici là, ses ailes, la cocarde, et ici la simplicité du chapeau de Napoléon. C'est l'image que
It's the image that he gave himself. First, he constructed the image himself since Napoleon was a man of communication, and so he bought a hat. He always bought the same kind. He had 120 like this. He wore it this way, although others wore it the other way. He wore it differently. Second, he bought a hat that is quite simple, with the round logo, the image of the French Revolution, and what it symbolized for the French Revolution, because he deemed himself to be the heir of the French Revolution.
Voyez, on peut pas faire plus symbolique que ça. Bon, ouais.
And that's all we have time for in this edition of World Business Report. Thank you so much for watching, but don't go anywhere. Keep it with News 9 Live.